I don't get it. I don't get physical games. So please, here is a flaw to convince me otherwise. You know, I've been a gamer since I was 4 years old. My dad bought me a PS2 with Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights and Donald Duck Quack Attack. And I love Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights. I've completed that game many times over, as recently as last year. But Donald Duck Quack Attack, that game, I snapped that disc in half when I was 4 years old because I got that mad at the game. And that really is my first experience with physical games. And, you know, I grew up in the era of CEX and Game Station, rest in peace. And that would be a hobby of mine. I would go in at the weekend with my friend, pick out a few games I would like, you know, mainly the kid ones because I was going in by myself. We were younger than like 12, and trade in our old games that we completed or didn't like and got new ones to try. This is how I found many a game like Ratchet and Clank and Jack and Daxter. So I really used to like that aspect. But, you know, of course, as the years have gone by, Game Station went bust. Game is a dying brand anyway. We can we can see that ever since, is it Mike Ashley who bought it? And obviously CEX is still doing its thing and thriving, and especially because of all the CEX TikTok hauls that you see. But I think when I was about 14, I got my first ever PC, and I built it from scratch. And back then it had a disk drive. My one now does not. I don't know if there's any point having a disk drive anymore. But from then on, really, my only memory is getting digital games. I've always found it more easier, convenient, and I've never really been a collector anyway, not of games. I think also on Xbox 360, I probably bought a few digital games because I think, especially with the indie titles on that system, it was all digital only. I think games like Super Meat Boy were digital only. So that was maybe my first introduction, and it just made it easier. You know, I have had my Steam account for, I think, 14 years now, maybe, and every game that I've ever played in there is still there, and I can go back and play it for one. So many times I've gone to my physical collection maybe throughout the years, and nothing's been there because I traded it in. And again, that's a me problem. That's a perk of the physical space. I've just never really had the urge to display my games, not my normal ones anyway. And even then, I own a few steelbooks, and they're just tucked away in a cupboard somewhere. Now, steelbooks can be great, but usually they come in the big collectors boxes, I think, which can cost like £200 maybe these days. I don't even know. I think the last time I ever got a collector's edition of a game is Dishonored 2, and I love that collector's edition. I don't have it in here, and that has a really nice steelbook. But I just I much prefer the idea of clicking into my Steam library or click onto my PlayStation library and download something, and knowing where it is, I can just search for it. And there's a couple of reasons why I like it more. I like to preload. I'm a pre-orderer. I pre-order some games that I'm excited for. I pre-ordered 007. I usually pre-order the new Assassin's Creed games. I pre-ordered Shadows. Really like Shadows. And I think that's really convenient, that if I have the day off or I want to stay up for a bit longer, I'll download the game and have it ready for hopefully midnight when it releases. And then it's ready. It's there. I can get on, play it. I don't have to go to the shop or wait for it to be delivered. Wait in there that entire day until the Amazon delivery driver comes around and gives me my package. It's a trend, isn't it? How it's been going for the past 15 years. A downwards decline. And COVID probably even quicken this. I'm not too sure on the stats. So things like the midnight launch, I would have loved to go to a midnight launch of a game, but I never got the opportunity to do, and I don't think I will again. I think maybe there's been 1 or 2 recently, but I can't think of the games. So I like that. I like just being able to be ready midnight or whenever the game is available and play it. I think that's so convenient, and that's probably my top perk. The other one is stupid 4-year-olds like I was back then can't break a digital game. I mean, maybe you could, I don't know, you'd have to try really hard. But the pros of physical media, I understand. Being able to trade and sell like I did back in the day, fantastic. Such a good idea, and hopefully it will never go away. Now, obviously, you can go to CEX and trade in your games. Oh, I'm about to do it tomorrow, actually. I'm going to trade in some games that I haven't played in absolutely ages to hopefully get a new game. Maybe Resident Evil Requiem or Lego Batman. I'm not too sure which one to get. And this it's a great activity and a great kind of, although obviously as soon as you buy a game, the price drops. It doesn't necessarily drop dramatically. You could probably still play a game as soon as it comes out, complete within the first week, and still get a decent chunk back to trade it in at CX or sell it on Facebook Marketplace or whatever. I understand that you can give it to your friends to borrow, especially if you're younger. Now, obviously, you can do this with digital games as well, kind of. If you have family sharing on your PS5 with someone else, you can do that. And also, you can get like a shared Steam library. I have that with my sister on Steam, but certain games don't count. Like a lot of the Rockstar games don't count. I think it's a third-party launcher thing. I think that's why. And obviously, the big worry that I've heard from me being a digital guy is that, well, what if they take it away from you? What if you lose access to all these games? I think if that happens, we have a much bigger problem to deal with than just them taking our games away. It will be Steam has crashed, or the entirety of the video games industry has crashed, and I can't see that happening yet. Now, I've always said this, that hopefully one day there can be a few things that these companies could do to make it more appealing to have digital games. I don't think they'll ever do this, but maybe a mix between the two, like being able to trade a game with your friend for another game, or being able to sell them your game. I can't see this ever happening. I don't know how, because it doesn't really benefit them. And most of the time, these companies only do things that benefit them, which, that's business, I understand. I thought about things like this with Fortnite as well. Being able to give skin, well, you can only give skins, but trade skins or give skins to someone. The only reason off the top of my head is that they wouldn't do this because of scamming and things like that. I feel like you could probably get around that though with verified accounts, being friends with people, things like that. I'm not sure. If people know the reason, please let me know. But please, what am I missing? What do I not get? I don't necessarily like how they look on shelves. The Steelbook is probably the only ones I would display. But if we end up losing all of our digital media items, then I guess we just emulate.